Okay, so talking about caulking, it's doing two jobs. The first thing is to make the boat watertight, so that all the gaps between the planks here, we're looking at deck planking, but obviously the hull planking is a similar thing. It's a two-stage thing. We're caulking up, this is oakum, which goes in the seams like that, and then it's put in with a variety of irons, which I'll show you in a moment. The other option is caulking, which is similar stuff, but looks like that. Tends to be more for yacht work and lightweight jobs, you know, yachts and small boats. This is all oakum, this one. Sometimes you have oakum in the hull or under the waterline, and then cotton on the top sides and deck. Depends on how your plans are. Cotton's easier to put in, and it's better on lightweight work. Oakum doesn't split down very well. So as I say, the first thing is banging it in, tightening it up, and the first thing it's doing is giving you a watertight seal. The other thing it's doing is stiffening the whole boat up. It's not just about watertightness, it's about structural integrity of the boat. It stops the seams from being able to work, because it's hitting so hard, as you'll see in a second, it stops the seams from being able to work along each other, so it gives the boat a lot more sort of torsional strength. On a deck seam, you tend to have a very regular seam because they've all been machined and they're all parallel sides and so on. So this is the easy place to start. On this one, the planks are 2 inches thick. The seam is half the depth of the plank and finishes with a 1/4 inch wide seam, which is going to be pitched over in a minute. Spin it up enough to turn it into a bit of, just put a bit of spiral into it, not too much. Some people put in more, some people would be doing this in 20-30 foot lengths and using a drill to wind it up. But as I'm only doing a little bit of it now, we'll just do this. So you get it so it looks like that, slightly wound up. And then after that you put it so it's just laying in the seam, and then using a different iron, which is there you go. You can see it's got a groove in the bottom of it. You can get these different sizes for different ones. For instance, there you got a double iron. It's got 2 grooves in it for very wide seams. You hope you don't have to use them too often. And then we're now going to set it right down hard into the seam, so I'll actually use the caulking mallet for this. Look down in the bottom of the seam there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you've got a very hard layer of compressed oakum. It's like a strip of leather along the bottom of the seams. And if you take it apart, you'll find that's even bitten out into the plank. Not on this hardwood, but on the hull planking, the large hull planking. It will actually be bitten into the sides of the planks and have a little gap. And when it gets wet and takes up, expands, the caulking is trapped. So you've got this rope, fibre seal along every plank seam. Okay, so this is the one that we're just getting it into the seam. Right, so that's it's in there. That's making, and now caulking. We're back with this is a caulking iron rather than a making iron, or the other way round possibly.
Work on sound as well as...
Yeah, to a certain extent, but a lot of the change in sound is actually when you're either by way of deck beam, or which is, you know, here and here, the deck beams, you can hear it different, and also when you come up anywhere it's supported, the planks are supported underneath around the ends, you know, where the margin boards are in under the covering board. There you get that harder sound, particularly where there's pitch coming up. You know, where they've been set down on tar, and you're caulking into tar, it obviously caulks down a lot harder. If you can get it in, it caulks down harder. But yeah, there is an element of sound, and if you can't get it to come up to start to ring at the end of it, well, on deck plank it wouldn't be a problem, but on hull plank you've got to consider whether the seam was too far open and you're caulking right through onto the inside of the boat. And on an old, not on new work so much, but on old boats, if you caulk up too hard, sometimes you can knock the inside of inside edge of a plank off. So that's you know, you'd be listening for and feeling for it being too easy suddenly. This happened to me before, where you actually knock a plank off, knock off the inner strip of a seam and not notice it, and then have major leaks. I'm not going to demonstrate it now because we need to set, you know, we need to set up a pitch burner and what have you. But it's just pitch. It's things up that you make roads out of, black. You know, buy it from a flat roofing company or whatever, and then warm it up till it's liquid, and then we use a little stainless steel teapot and ladle it out, and you run it through, and you can see around the bottoms of the stanchions here it's already been pitched up, so you end up with a drooly looking, that's been painted over unfortunately, because normally it would be black, and I think they've all been painted. Well, we do it in 2 runs, so one it should end up 1/4 inch below the surface, let that go and shrink back a bit, let go hard like this and shrink back a bit, then put the other one on which will be over the surface, and then sometimes you would scrape that back so it's flush and you get nice, you know, regular black line there. Or for workboat type work, you can just leave it over the top and not worry about it. Depends on how fussy you are or your customer is. And yeah, and what the look is that you're after. And of course, you can do that. At that stage, a lot of boats would be using Sikaflex or the equivalent, you know, polyurethane mastic of some sort. But I don't really think it's any better, and it's certainly costs more. Whereas we tend to use pitch or marine glue, pitch by another name. So various irons, as I say, that's the caulking iron, the one that you're starting with, and then there are the single and double crease for setting it down into the bottom, you know, setting the oakum down into the bottom so it seems hard. And then if you've got problem areas like round stanchions or up against the hatch combing or whatever it is, use cranked irons. So again, you've got this is a single iron, this is a seaming iron, but it's a very narrow one, so it can easily. And then this is the same iron, but for the finishing iron, and that's quite a narrow seam, in fact. So in a place like that, where you've got quite a narrow piece of wood, which can obviously get shoved back and forth, but there's a lot of force here. You can push the boat apart with it. So here, you'd caulk up the 2 seams simultaneously to keep it from. Because if I caulk that one there, that seam would shut against and you wouldn't be able to get any caulking into it, and then it would leak. So you set it in, probably half a, you know, split it down, put that much into the first narrow seam, and then a full one into the second seam, and then caulk them up simultaneously as you're coming along, just give it a nice straight line and even seams. There are various other irons you can get, which I haven't got here, you know, narrower ones and ones with points that, you know, can go in as little corners, but they're all doing effectively the same job. So you use these again, going in there and there, that sort of thing. And you can get, if you're working on old work, you know, bottoms of ships and old trawlers and stuff, you end up with, you might have an iron that's great and then thick, but We're trying to avoid that stuff. Once you start caulking the boat up, you get used to the seams and the irons and the oakum, and it takes a few hours to get settled into it, doesn't it? Just go and try and do that. I haven't caulked any of this hull, and it's just fiddling around, don't know which iron it is. They're not that clean, because I haven't done much of it for a while. Come back to normal here, isn't it? Right, so we've got a slightly wider seam here. So it's too wide for one to go through one run of oakum. So what we'll do is choking up, which means grab it there. Another little loop like that. Another loop.